Greg's the director of the Interaction Consortium, which is a Django web agency in Sydney. In the past, he's been a treasurer of the Sydney chapter of the Usability Professionals Association and the founding president of Robots and Dinosaurs, which is a really cool hack space in Sydney. Today, he's going to talk about FeinCMS tools and FeinCMS and how to unleash the ponies. May you please make him welcome.
Thank you. I don't know how I feel about being the filling in a core contributor sandwich, especially when I'm not a core contributor to anything I didn't start myself, but I'm honoured to be in such esteemed company. So, Unleash the Ponies. This talk is about adding rich content tools to any Django model. My name's Greg. Amongst other things, I'm technical director of the IC. We build Django sites, almost always using this framework because our clients love it. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Hands up if you say FeinCMS. Oh, awesome. I can probably skip the next few slides then. This time last year, half the people I was speaking to were calling it FeinCMS. I argue that it's FeinCMS unless you're the Queen, in which case they're both pronounced the same because you're posh. Okay, so English has Vane, Rain, Skane, and Chow mein, but only Stein and Einstein, so those are both German, as is, well, he's not German, he's Swiss. This is Matthias Kestenholz, who is the originator of FeinCMS. He's Swiss, speaks German, so his pronunciation would be FeinCMS. Fein in German means fine in English. Fein sounds like false, so maybe something to be avoided. Anyway, there we go. So, what problem does FeinCMS solve? Well, I think as Alex was talking about this morning, the web is getting more complex. Web content in particular is a complex thing. Alex was talking about the divide between applications on the web and sites on the web. This talk is more towards the sites and content publishing end. I also am kind of sad to see that division. It would be nice if we could build things that help us kind of keep those things more integrated. But anyway, we have very low contrast on this screen. Apologies. When we're talking about web content, we're not just talking about text and images. We're talking about media interactives. Talking about the formatting, the style, the design, the layout, the data that gets incorporated, and all of those things need to be presented in a reusable way. So not only do you need to not be putting in the same date content in several places, but you also need to be able to reuse that content on a variety of devices. Yes, and of course we have to handle user-generated content. So as the web is growing, this becomes more and more challenging. There's more technologies. There's more competition for any given site. What button was that? Okay. There's more varieties. People are expecting richer experiences. I don't know if you guys have seen the New York Times snowfall. To me, that kind of represents where the web is. It kind of epitomizes where the web is heading for me. It's kind of, I was going to show it, but I think I will leave it. But check it out, do a Google for New York Times snowfall. It's one of those examples where every page is a kind of unique experience, and it's a combination of design, meeting content, meeting interactivity. So those richer experiences are being created with smaller and smaller teams as these things get commoditized. So what in particularly the magazine and newspaper world took teams of specialists is now being condensed to the point where there's 1 to 3 generalists having to manage layout and style and so on, and trying not to break anything at the same time. People are getting more future savvy about their content. They want to keep it in a proper shape where they can repurpose it for different things. They can migrate it to a new system if they ever need to. So how do we do this? How can my non-tech users publish flexible and unique content that's true to the design of the site, but still with control over the styling. So it doesn't break the design, but people still have control over how that looks. That will work on a variety of devices, that doesn't make people put content in several places, without kind of restricting and kind of saying you can only do the few templates that we've imagined for you, and that produces clean and semantic HTML at the outset. It's kind of a crazy problem, and you guessed it. It's what FeinCMS aims to solve. It does many things, actually, but to me, the fundamental kind of dynamic is that it allows you to create pages from a bunch of different content types and to kind of rearrange and reorder those content types at will. This is that in diagram form. So a page is made up of a bunch of texts and a bunch of images, and that's in a predefined order. So when you render the page, they kind of appear in that order, or it kind of processes those content types in that order. In FeinCMS terms, a page is a kind of document. So FeinCMS calls it, it has a base model. And the other side is the text and images and pull quotes are kinds of content types. Now, FeinCMS content types are not the same as Django content types. So for the rest of this talk, put Django content types out of your mind. FeinCMS content types are these things, that they appear as content on your page. We've taken to calling them lumps, which is a bit ugly, but it's sticky. So, okay, let's see this in action. Whoops, maybe I'll turn off mirroring. No, I'll move it over. It's going. This way. Okay, so this is a site we built for the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney, and it's driven from FeinCMS. So basically, all of the content we see on this page is either pulled out from the database, so it's kind of automatic, or is entered as content lumps. So here we've got a slideshow that shows images from the exhibition. We've got a bit of introductory text, which can be as long or as rich as need be. There's things like sponsors, and sponsors are made up of collections of logos, very carefully sized and positioned. There's links to educational resources, and there's links to shop items. So in the main, those things are entered once. So the images are part of an image library. The sponsors are part of a kind of a sponsorship app. The shop is obviously a database that is part of their e-commerce system. So the way this behaves on the back end is when you install FeinCMS, you get these tabs, which represent the different sections of contents that you want to have in your model. So this umbrella page is a standard Django model. It just inherits from FeinCMS base, and there's a FeinCMS admin, which has the JavaScript that makes this work. So the body text, probably the shop is actually most simple. So all you can put in a shop is in the shop section is a bunch of products. So you can keep going, adding more and more products. So if you want 6 products, you just make 6 of these things, and then we use a raw ID to. It's popped up over here to choose the shop item that you want. So I can choose that one, and it pops away. You might be thinking that's pretty much what Django inline admin does, but when you get to more rich areas, so the main body, the choice of things you can add is a lot greater. So in the MCA, you can make a link to an event. You can use one-off images or reusable images from an image library. You can put a whole gallery in, which is in turn made up of collections of images. You can put pull quotes in. You can even drop back to raw HTML if you need a one-off piece of JavaScript for some reason. Once those are in, you can rearrange the order. You can show and hide. You can delete, and so on. Okay, so. That's, I guess, in terms of what happens in the database, it's fairly straightforward. What we were looking at in the previous slide was one section containing a variety of content types. So we've got, a page with a main section, and it's got some text and an image and a text. You saw just then we had different sections. So there was the shop section and things like sidebars and related items and that sort of thing. Those are not represented in the database tables. The data relation is still directly from the content type to the document. So you can actually hard code the sections. You just put strings in for the name of the sections, and the strings get stored in the database. So it's a really simple data model. I'll just quickly give you a peek into the Postgres admin. No, I won't yet, because I haven't made the migrations. How am I doing for time? 32. Okay. What I planned to do was to start to show you how we bring FeinCMS into a new project so that you guys can try it at home. Before I do that, I want to show you the way that FeinCMS asks you to do things, which is this sort of thing. So you define your model. It inherits from FeinCMS model's base. You do the standard Django thing of choosing some fields and writing your meta and so on and so on. FeinCMS has this process of creating content types. So for every content type that you want, you're supposed to call this on your model, your FeinCMS model, create content type, and then go through all of your types that are available and allocate them to the regions that they're allowed to be in. So I don't know about you, but this makes me a bit itchy. It's not very dry. All of this stuff feels like it should be part of the model, but it's living outside in some kind of unknown piece of code. Like you're really supposed to put it just below where you define your model, but there's nothing stopping someone else from kind of monkey patching in a content type. So it gets a bit scary. And then on a large project where you have several such models, you want the same content types available in all of those models. You don't want to have to repeat that whole sequence of calls and make sure it's the same all over your site. So we made a little library called FeinCMS Tools. It's at github.com/ixc/ I think it's glamkit-FeinCMS tools. And all it is a lightweight wrap around FeinCMS that allows you to define what content types are available and what regions you want inside your model. Now I'm going to just whiz very quickly through the how we design an app. And for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to make an app that is for organizing meetups. So you publish a meetup and you want to describe what happens. Maybe after that's happened, you want to upload the PowerPoint templates or the video from it. So talking about rich content. The source code for what I'm about to do is here, and I've tagged all of the stages so you can sort of see how the progression goes through the numbers. And I'll give you the address again at the end. Hopefully, I think I have time to get through this, but if you have any questions now, probably best to put your hand up and interrupt me and ask me to explain. Happy to do that. Or wait, find me at the end and we can sit down and I'll show you some stuff. Okay. Okay, so this is us. Okay, I'm definitely going to turn off mirroring. Okay. So this is our standard Django project. I've made a meetups application in there, and the model in the meetup is fairly straightforward. Just want to turn off. Okay. So there's no FeinCMS in there yet. It's just added to the requirements. So if I, oops, just going to check out a very simple addition. So the simplest possible way of integrating something is you inherit from this FeinCMS document, which is the FeinCMS tools version of the FeinCMS base. That starts looking for a declaration called FeinCMS regions. So we've just defined two regions, the main region for the main content and the sidebar. And then it looks for a method called content types by region. So it'll pass in the region name, and then it expects you to return the content types that are available. So at the moment, here is the category of content types, and then there is the type itself. So we've reduced all of that kind of lengthy listings of everything to a single function that you can define somewhere else and reuse in every model. Right now we're using just text. I'm going to skip forward a bit just for time and add some more models. Okay, so now there are a couple of categories. There's the default category, which has text. There's a media category, which has an OEmbed type, so you can just paste in a YouTube video and it'll show up with the video. I've made an advanced category with raw HTML content. This MFC is a media file content that takes parameters. It comes with, this media file thing comes with FeinCMS. And so when you instantiate it, you pass it these settings, which show you how you can define your own styles for how that media content's displayed. 8 minutes, okay. I'll do a quick migration. Okay. Oh, yay. Okay, inside the database, that migration that I just run starts creating tables that look like this. So I've got my meetup model that I just defined that has the standard Django fields in it. But then for every kind of content type that you attach to the meetup model, there's a new table created. So when we look at the definition of the content types, they're pretty much standard Django models. I should have got to this bit earlier. I'm defining a content type, and it inherits from a content FeinCMS tools content superclass. Content types are all abstract models because FeinCMS goes and grabs, makes its own internal concrete subclass that results in this database table. So the additional fields are the link to the parent, which is there, which is the document that contains the content. And then the region that it lives in, so that whether it's the main or the sidebar, and that's just a string. So the data model is really simple, but you do end up with hundreds of tables, so it's really important to kind of get a good grip on your south migrations. Okay. I want to show you one more thing, which is that the network is struggling. That FeinCMS content lumps don't have to be, and this is kind of a pointing towards the future a little bit. FeinCMS content types don't actually have to contain content. Of course, they can contain foreign keys to content elsewhere. You don't have to enter it right there and then. But in another site that we built, which is for IWC, the International Watch Company that's not loading, we have a FeinCMS region, which is there, and it contains these different kinds of content. But it also contains this layout module, so it's kind of like a meta content. Oh, thanks, Jacob. That's wrong size, Apple. Damn it. Okay, well, hopefully get through this in the next 6 minutes. It contains content types that don't actually render things on the page, but they change how other things are rendered. So has this page loaded? No. Such a shame. Everyone stop using the internet. Turn off your BitTorrents. Okay, look, I'm going to show you, I guess. You have to imagine. This tool gives, when you choose one of these options, it controls the layout of the next items in the list. So when you choose this, option, for instance, we know that the number one next content is going to take up a large column, and then the 2 and the 3 after that are going to be on top of the other in the right-hand column. So what this does is it allows content editors to make decisions about the layout that won't compromise the design. So this choice of layouts has been designed by the designers of the site, which I would love to be able to show you, but it enforces some rules about what the design can and can't do. So what that means is that we've gone from a world where people are pasting in content from Word and kind of using like whatever they can to get the layout they want, or maybe having to call up some developers and go, I need a new template that does such and such a layout. They've already got those tools available. This is a really simple kind of demonstration of content that's not part of, content that's not actually content, but it's more like meta kind of decisions that people are making. And so I guess I'm intrigued, especially given where design on the web is going. It's moving away from kind of boxes and more towards every page being unique, and design kind of matching the content rather than having to fit into a template. So this to me feels like a signpost for where the future is going, that the content editors will be able to put signals inside the content that indicate how it should be displayed. So I'm kind of interested to see where this goes. At the moment, the people who are using this love it. Like, it results in far fewer technical support calls, and everyone's happier. I've got, is that including questions? 2 minutes left. That's not including questions. Okay. Well, we might have 2 minutes extra for questions, unless I can get this page to load. What else do I need to show? I think that's probably a good point to pause. I think I've gone pretty quickly, so I'm happy to take some of this time to go back and explain what happened. But yeah, and get back to me. computer fighting back today. All right. Unleash the questions, I think. Thank you so much for your time.
Do we have any questions? I have one if... No, we've got one here.
Mm-hmm.
I know the answer already.
Thanks, Greg. My name's Ben. Just interesting tool. At the end of the day, it looks like it's a really slick way of making pages. If you've got a more sort of semantic-centric model, how does FeinCMS, does it play nice with more structured data models that you kind of like?
It does. So the document model it can be as structured as you like. It's a standard Django model, and the same applies for all of the content types themselves. They're just Django models, but they have they're abstract, so FeinCMS makes them concrete for every type. So you can structure that as much as you like, and it doesn't have to be content. It can be it's kind of database callouts. We use it. I don't know if this is. Go on.
Well, you never saw it, but so you've got your watches in your
yes.
Watch as.
Question is, do you have the watches in the model?
There is a standard Django model that describes a watch, and it's got images and the name of them and the family that they live in. But there's also there's a FeinCMS section inside that model for describing whatever you need to about the watch. So so the catalog page on the watch site looks like the facts and figures. It looks much more like a brochure than a product page, but you can index it and navigate through it as though it was a catalog.
Last question. Okay, last one at the back.
Oh, thanks. Great talk. Just in CMSs in general, like that uses the Django admin for all of its editing and stuff, and I find sometimes users find that a bit of a complicated beast.
Yeah.
I guess WordPress is the other extreme. It's got a really nice, slick user interface, but it's probably quite hard to make things awesome. Do you have any thoughts on how to? Because that's there's quite complicated stuff going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Do you have any tips on how to make a complicated structure like that really, really simple for end users to be able to?
I don't have a solution. I can tell you some of the things that we do. One is we use Django admin tools, which is what's going on at the top here, which is, I guess, a skin on top of Django admin, but one that also allows you to rearrange your content types into some sort of meaningful order. So it doesn't necessarily have to be grouped by application. You can put models into different sections. People use this menu a lot when we watch them, just for kind of quickly jumping from one mental space to another. One problem I would like to see solved is something that other CMSs do, which is give you a bit of a site, a kind of heterogeneous list of what's in your site, and there is different kinds of admin available depending on what kind of content you click on, rather than having to choose the content first and navigate to that content. So I think there is a mapping disconnect between the way content editors think about things and the way database designers think about things. Django admin is obviously very much geared towards the latter, and I'm very keen to see tools that allow us to kind of describe what users are thinking about.
Okay. Speaker. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, everyone.